Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Way from English,
I'm Kristen Gomer from Mass Media.
and this video is to welcome you to our course, Social Media Storytelling, which is English 399, Mass Media 393.
So this class is basically a hybrid class between English and Mass Media. And we kind of wanted to look at storytelling, from both a theoretical and narrative perspective, and then also a professional perspective, which is kind of what I do. So we're kind of putting those two things together, and you should see through the readings and the things that we do in the class that you'll be getting like all different kinds of perspectives on what social media does and how people tell narratives on social media platforms.
And the purpose of this is that if you take these skills and you go somewhere, you're going to be working in usually in a team in an environment with others. And so to that end, we have this course set up where you'll be working with a group throughout the course on most of the assignments. Almost all of the assignments you'll be with a group. And that's in part to model that experience of having to work with a team, especially because if you're designing either a narrative for a brand or even just kind of an entertainment experience through a variety of social media platforms, that's a huge task and one that you don't do yourself. So we're kind of, you're thinking through and working through that process and thinking about what does it take to do this, and you're working with a group to kind of come up with a project like that throughout the class.
Okay, so kind of how the whole course is set up is that everything you're going to do is in a group, like you just said, right? So we have some different components. The biggest one is that you will be doing group discussions every week with your group. Then with your same group, you're going to be doing a midterm project and then a final project. So all three of those are where the biggest portion of your grade is going to come from. And we'll talk a little bit about how that's broken down later. But just so you know, like, you have to work in a group for this class, and to be successful you have to pull your weight, and that means you have to like actually help out and do what your group members need you to do. If we find or we hear from your group that you're not doing anything, we will seriously consider not letting you stay in the class. So it's kind of like you got to do it or else.
And so with that, just kind of a quick overview of attendance. So because this is an online course, it's a 5-week course, there's an expectation that you're going to be online and participating daily during the week, basically. Right? So now because it's online, there's a little bit of freedom of when you participate during the day, and we've built in that, but you do have deadlines you need to meet because your group members will be expecting you to have things done so they can build on that for the projects, things like that. Otherwise, we're looking at that you're just online, usually daily, and participating. The only specific attendance note that we'll point out is that if you never log on and participate in any part of the course over the first week, we will automatically withdraw you from the course. And if that's the case for anybody, which hopefully it won't be, we will probably have to shift the groups a little bit. And so we'll let you know and put those group changes up on D2L and probably send out an email about it as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so resources that you're going to need for this, first of all, is access to D2L, right? Because that's where all the content is going to be. That's where the drop boxes for the assignments are as well. Secondly, all of the readings and everything that you're going to be like watching video-wise, that kind of thing, it's all on D2L, so you don't need to buy anything. We have some PDFs, some links to articles, and videos to watch, that kind of thing. But you'll need to be getting on there to access those. You need to be able to get onto your Washburn email and your D2L email. Remember, they're not the same thing, which means that you need to check both just in case people are emailing you one place or the other. Lastly, and most importantly, we're not going to do discussion through D2L this semester because it's so clunky and you have to log into a PC or a Mac just to get into the discussion boards and to do what you need to do. So instead, we're going to use an app called Slack, SLACK. You can download this either from the Apple Store or from Google Play Store. And it's basically works like a communication management system. So you go in and you can use hashtags and you can put all of your content in there and your comments and things like that, and it'll keep it forever. Each group has its own channel. So when you log in for the first time, you'll see group 1. And then there's a general channel where you can post questions to us about just anything, and we'll be on there all the time. And then a random channel if you want to share some random fun things or something like that. How we will get you into this is that we will email your Washburn email address and invitation for Slack. you can go ahead and like download the app, but then click on your email invitation and it'll take you there, and then you can set up your username and password and all that kind of stuff. Just remember to keep it pretty identifiable, so like I can pretty much tell who you are and not some like weird random name.
We'll have a few guidelines up on D2L as well, and questions about how to do that. There is also a desktop client for that too. So if you are more comfortable working on a desktop, you can go through the website or web version in a browser, basically. But the nice thing is that whatever you're comfortable using, these all kind of go to the same place.
It does push notifications to you. So if you have it on your phone, you'll see the notifications every time somebody posts, which can get a little annoying sometimes. So if you want to turn that off, you can. Just make sure you're checking it pretty regularly.
So other than that, in terms of resources, in fact, I just mentioned that almost everything in terms of content will be on D2L. There will be some videos either with both of us or maybe just one of us individually kind of talking about some concepts and things like that, but also a lot of readings, a lot of videos that we found from people in academia, people in the industry that are really great and provide a lot of different perspectives on using these technologies. So that'll all be on D2L, and yes, we like free, so that's part of the reasoning behind that. You do need to we do ask you to use a word processor, and we do recommend Microsoft Word. It isn't the best always, but it is the most ubiquitous, and it's free as well through Washburn. So if you haven't gotten it yet, you can get the whole Microsoft Office suite for free with your Washburn ID and password.
Well, and along with that too, you're going to have internet access, right?
Yes.
So you could go places like campus, Starbucks, wherever you want, but you're going to have to be able to get on the internet. We can't make excuses for you like, well, so-and-so doesn't have the internet, so they can't get on there. I mean, it's an online class. You kind of have to do this. So we just expect that you will have access, and you'll be able to get on there every day and hopefully multiple times a day.
Yeah, and that is absolutely an important expectation. Make sure that you have regular internet access. If you don't, unfortunately, given the nature of this class, and we're talking about social media storytelling, which requires basically being online all the time, you probably need to find another class that works better for your schedule and it's more face-to-face. So other than that, I think that's in terms of the resources and using Slack, right? Those are the kind of key things you'll need. Contacting us, right? A couple of things. So we check our email regularly throughout the week, and that is all the time. Too much. So that's probably one of the best ways to get a hold of us. We will be checking Slack regularly as well. You can post questions there. There is a discussion board also on D2L for general issues and questions, which early on in the class is good, but we'll probably, we'll try to check that occasionally, but we'll be more on Slack. And so feel free to use that general discussion room to post any questions. But if you have specific questions, or you don't want to ask them in Slack or on D2L, feel free to email one or both of us, and we'll try to get back to you, pretty quickly during the week. If you would like to meet with us, we are glad to do that. We will both be around, I think most of, if not all of June. So we can, if you want to set up a face-to-face meeting on campus, we can potentially make that happen. We're also available through Skype, Google Hangouts, Zoom, whatever platform you work with, we're pretty familiar with. So, feel free to just get in touch if you want to set up a more in-depth meeting than just kind of contacting us via email.
Yeah, and along with that too, we would highly suggest that you and your group members maybe have like weekly phone calls or Skype calls, or just ways to kind of like get some kind of face-to-face time, so that you can touch base with where you are. And it's going to be really crucial when you turn in your midterm and your final project. Discussions, I think you can get by with just being on Slack, but really making sure that everything for the assignments is done is a big deal. So just like, put that out there for you guys. It's really helpful if you can get on a Skype call together, for instance. So as far as conduct goes in the class, we're pretty strict about the main thing, which is respect, right?
Yeah, it should be pretty obvious, we think, right? But and this goes for, I know for both of us individually, and I know some of you have had us in class before, so this is, you've heard this before. But the same thing goes online as it does face-to-face. We expect you to respect us and to respect your classmates in the class. Now, that doesn't mean you have to just agree with everybody blindly. In fact, we don't encourage that.
Right. We encourage own opinion.
Yes, right. And we want you to, if you think something is wrong, you disagree, we want you to challenge that, but you need evidence to back that up. And that's kind of a running theme. So somebody can't just say this works on Facebook without any evidence, right? So
Things like
yes, yeah. And this,
they may be,
yes.
but don't call them out. Okay?
No one's an idiot, right? Yes. But yeah, so show that same level of respect, right? You don't have to agree, but that's part of working with people, right? And when you're going to get out in the industry, no matter what you're doing, you're going to have to work with other people. And so having those skills are important. So and navigating conflict and disagreement is an important part of that. So that may be the case. In terms of late work, we do want to kind of point out there isn't really space for late work in a 5-week class, right? Especially because, as you'll note when you look at the discussion guidelines, those are broken up. Those usually occur over 4 days throughout the week, and there are different roles and people have different things that they need to post by different points in time. So if you don't meet those deadlines, then your classmates and your group mates will not have the content they need to build on for the discussion or the projects, whatever you're working on. So you need to make sure you're doing things on time, you're getting them done in the right place. So there isn't really, our late policy is that if it's not done, you're not getting credit for it. So if you, for some reason, something dire happens, I think we say in the syllabus, if you lose a limb, if the mob's coming after you, something like that, something big comes up, you can get in contact with us and we'll figure out if there's something we can do. But otherwise, you're basically expected, you need to be doing things on time, meeting all the deadlines. One other small thing, formatting, we won't go over the guidelines here, but you'll notice on assignment sheets and on the syllabus, there are formatting guidelines. Again, if you've had class with either of us or most teachers, there's usually some formatting guidelines. These are pretty standard. So make sure you're following those individually and in groups when you submit projects and things like that. And so the only other thing is that online, on Slack, wherever, don't spam, don't flame, don't do anything like that. We don't know why you would. There are better places online to do that. But if we see you doing anything like that, we will, probably take you out of the course site and out of the course. So just don't do it. There's plenty of other places if you want to, that floats your boat. You can go online and do it. But basically, the same expectations that we would, have for a face-to-face class hold for our online classes as well. So I've already talked about attendance. So so the grading breakdown. So as you'll notice on the syllabus on page 4 is the grading breakdown. And because this is a 5-week class, we've decided to have a couple of larger projects and discussions rather than a lot of small individual assignments. So you will have, you will be working throughout the week. You'll be, doing the readings and viewings, and you'll have parts of the discussion that you'll need to participate. But those roles are broken up a little bit, so you won't necessarily have to be doing a major thing every day. You should always be working towards your projects and things like that as well. So, we're trying to balance that as best we can. So the grading breakdown, as you notice, there's 10% is your personal learning journal. And that we'll talk about a little bit more on the assignment sheet for that and potentially in another video. But that is something that you'll be doing. That's kind of the only thing you'll be doing solely on your own. And that's kind of give us insight a little bit more about your personal experience and what you're learning and engaging with and what you find interesting. So with that, you will be turning it in once about the midterm point of the course, and you'll be getting an initial grade and feedback from us with the potential for that grade to go up or down based on what you do for the rest of the class. Just kind of get some feedback and saying, hey, we really like this. This is great. Keep doing this. Or you've got some good points. Maybe you need to work on this a little bit more. So you'll submit that at the end of the class and you'll get a final grade for that. So we already talked some about the discussions, and those are going to be, there's going to be 4 discussions, and those are the first 4 weeks of the class. So each week you will have a group discussion. So on D2L, you will find the discussion groups, the discussion group roles, and the guidelines and the roles and responsibilities and what you're expected to do. So, and we'll have another video, especially for that. We'll talk a little bit more about what each person is expected to do each week. But those are, each person will have a different role each week. These will be based around the readings, the viewings, the content you're looking through for that week. and you'll be adding a little bit more to the conversation and the discussion. So you'll be doing these on Slack. We will check in throughout the week as well. We might, provide feedback. We might see something really interesting and ask a couple questions, or, point out some really good lines of thinking that you should get more into, things like that. And then at the end of each week, there'll be one person whose job for that week is to be the summarizer, who will be submitting the summary of your group's discussion for that week to us through D2L. So there's 4 of those. Each weekly discussion is worth 10%. So overall, the discussions are worth 40%. And you'll get graded for each one. And there's a Dropbox up on D2L for each one that whoever is responsible for submitting for your group will post to. So the personal learning journal and the discussions are half of the course grade. That's 50%. The other 50% are the 2, what we say is more major projects. So the first is the platform analysis paper. Now, you should be thinking about that yesterday. You need to start looking over it. You need to get in touch with your group today and start thinking about that project, because it's due Friday, June 9th. So you've got about 2 weeks, just a little under 2 weeks, to work on this first assignment. And again, we'll have a video and the assignment sheet that you can check out for more specifics on that. But the goal in part is that this is a group project where you're going to be given a brand, and you're going to be expected to go look at the social media presences, multiple of this brand, and kind of think about the stories and the narratives they craft through these different platforms. And so we'll talk more about the specifics of that in another video, but that is something you'll be working on and submitting as a group. That's going to be 20% of your paper, and that's also going to be setting you up for the final project. So this is scaffolded, so what you work on in the first couple of weeks is then going to build on the things you'll be doing in the second half of the course. So the last thing you'll be working on is the final project, which has a personal reflection component. We'll talk about a little bit when we get to that point. But the final project is going to be a creative project for your group to basically take what we've been working on and create a social media storytelling narrative campaign. It's up to your group what you want to do and how you want to approach it, whether you want to think about just creating a story for entertainment purposes, kind of create a brand narrative, either around possibly a fictional brand or a real one, things like that. So that's up to your group, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a couple of weeks. But so that project is 30% of your course grade. So that's kind of the breakdown, and you notice that's all on page 4. And just a note, it shouldn't change, but something may come up. We may have to tweak these numbers a little bit. So if we do have to do that, we will make a change on D2L. We'll update the syllabus. We'll let you know. We won't just kind of come at you out of nowhere with this and expect you to know these changes. And then just note too that, like all Washburn courses, we grade on the 10-point scale. So you can see that on page 4 as well. So
how we kind of set this up in D2L is that there's a first module underneath the content section that says start here. Okay, so that's where you want to go, right? You can read the syllabus. There is a syllabus quiz. I mean, you can take it as many times as you want to get it right. But it's just our way of letting us know that you actually looked at it. I know, something you don't really want to do, but you have to. Also, that's where you'll find the discussion roles and responsibilities handout with your discussion assignments for your group. So definitely go there first. And we'll put some other things like the class schedule, there, and those kinds of things. And underneath that will be modules for each week. So week 1, 2, 3, and 4, they'll have the readings, they'll have the drop boxes that you'll need. And we haven't got everything posted yet, but we will probably get it all done within the next week or so. So you should be able to see things kind of pop up. So it's good to kind of keep checking back there and making sure that all the readings and videos that we're going to do, you've seen them. Kind of lastly, just want to reiterate, be present in the class, right? Be on Slack, be on your email, be on D2L. You're not going to be successful if you're not, and we will know if you're not there. So.
And we do expect that if we have to email you for something or about anything, that you need to reply during the week within 24 hours, given the pace of this course. And again, if you have questions for us, please let us know, right? Our goal in this class is to help you learn and succeed. And especially in an online class when we don't really meet face-to-face, we can't know if you have questions or you're struggling or anything unless you let us know. So we'll do absolutely what we can to help you out with that. So don't be afraid to get in touch with us.
Right. we'll be on Slack a lot
Yeah.
too. So you have questions
Yes.
posted
Yeah.
in the general channel, we'll be talking that pretty often.
Yeah. And just a heads up too, as we're building that, part of the reason we're still building is because there's so much going on. It's such an exciting topic that we like to try and find recent engaging stuff. So for example, if you want to check out a couple brand fails, the recent Pepsi and Heineken ads that have kind of come out have been pretty interesting. We'll probably, share those. So there's always new things developing with kind of social media and storytelling and marketing. We're trying to bring that in. One note about the schedule, you'll notice when we talked about the discussions, those are the first 4 weeks. That's because the last week is mostly going to be a light week in terms of assignments we give you, because you and your group will be focusing heavily on that final project. So it may, as you go through the course, you might think, oh, wow, this is so much reading. Yes, it is. It's a summer class. It's going to go fast. But also that load is going to lighten up a little bit in the last week or so you can spend most of your time working on the project. So there is an end in sight to that too, and everything. So.
And the nice thing is we give you the weekends off. You
Yes,
only have to do Monday through Friday.
Yeah. So other than that, I think, once again, if you have questions, please let us know. Yeah. We'll be posting information and things on D2L. We'll be in Slack. So don't hesitate to contact us. Mm-hmm. Otherwise.
All right. I guess we'll see you next time.
Yes. See you next time.